I hope everyone had an amazing 4th of July, especially if you're in the US. If you're not, I hope your weekend was amazing. Anyway, not a uneventful weekend in the world of Tesla, Elon, politics. Elon Musk officially announced that he is going to be founding and launching the America Party. The America Party, from Elon's standpoint, is a party that's going to focus specifically on the national debt issue, where Elon Musk is saying that the GOP is not paying enough attention to it by passing the big beautiful bill. During this time, I ran a bunch of polls on my X, which seems to be my new favorite thing to do. Not new. People who follow me on X probably know that I probably abuse polls a lot, but it's good to have knowledge, y'all. It's very interesting to see how my audience feels about stuff. This decision is probably the most split I've ever seen my audience, who's predominantly a pro-Musk audience, a pro-Tesla audience, a pro-AI technology audience, like, tech bros, okay? I'm a tech bro. And what this really highlights from my perspective is that this is going to be one of the riskier, if not the riskiest thing that Elon's going to take on since he really started his businesses. I think Elon has this knack of identifying really old, decrepit, sort of super stagnant, low innovation spaces, especially in the physics engineering world, Tesla, SpaceX. But he's well known for doing stuff like this. Everybody knows that he got into politics with Trump and he went in, and from his perspective, right, he tried to get the country back on track by getting somebody in office that he viewed would set the country in a better direction, less authoritarian, more prone to progress, more prone to freeing up businesses and allowing the economy to thrive and reverse some of the bad decisions that were done by the previous administration. He has already pissed off a bunch of Democrats by supporting Trump. Some of those may come back. I mean, I'm confident in saying some of those will come back with his third-party efforts. But he's also going to piss off a lot of Republicans that are dependent on there being a two-party system that doesn't disrupt their ability to have power during the midterms and the presidency. The GOP has weak margins in Congress, the Senate, and the House. And even though they made up a gigantic amount of ground during the elections with the electoral win, the popular vote win, and having both the House and the Senate, if somebody is willing to go in and disrupt it, there is a path to do it. And so Elon seems to have taken that on. And we can sort of like walk through why he's doing it, how he's going to do it. That's a whole podcast discussion. That's probably going to take like 3 hours if that's really what he wants to do. But I think what's important to highlight here is that there is a lot of risk for Tesla investors in the coming months if there is not a clear and obvious trend that the business is going to start generating a lot of cash flow, specifically from robotaxi, or even from more car sales, selling cheaper vehicles, making more energy, money from the energy sector. Maybe the bot starts getting a valuation. If you're a Tesla investor, this is a very shaky, weird time. And it's actually pretty uniquely singular. Like if I'm thinking about the previous story arcs of Tesla and Elon, we can talk about the Model 3 ramp. We can talk about the Model X ramp. We can talk about the 2019, 2020 sort of like jump in valuation from the Model Y becoming, super massively ramped and Model 3 was making money. We can also talk about, when Tesla was first profitable in 2013, or when there was the legacy media crusade against Tesla from 2016 to 2019 with gigantic amount of short selling pressure, like 39% of the float was short at one time, like 2018 or something. This one feels uniquely sort of like unique, which is not a phrase, but we just made it one, where Elon is looking to disrupt the most powerful entity on the planet, which is the United States government, by doing this, right? One could argue, okay? The other side of that is that this is all theater. This is all theater. This is just, Elon is a master of media communications now that he's owned X. He's been close to Trump, and Trump has a very unique way of captivating an audience and a very unique way of leveraging social media and saying crazy shit to be in the headlines all the time. If he decides to go forward with this thing, it will likely cause some sort of disruption. And disrupting the most powerful entity I would argue, on the planet, which is the United States government, it has the most weapons, it has the most money, it has the, one of the richest per capita, it has gigantic amount of natural resources, but it ultimately serves the people of the country. If he seeks to disrupt that truly at its core, it is hard to believe that there won't be some sort of fundamental pushback against that effort. I don't think, we saw what happened during the 2024 election and post-2024 election with Elon Musk supporting Trump and winning and, being very open about Doge and being super blunt about what it's doing and, the chainsaw in the sky. Tesla stores got vandalized, customer cars got vandalized. It brought a lot of attention to the company that was violent and dangerous. I'm not saying the same thing will happen if America Party is successful, but there's risk involved here. I think there is massive risk involved here. I think it would be naive to say that one party will push back but the other one won't, when I think anybody who has been objective about the United States government and the politics in this country is that the two-party system works because you can use the other side to radicalize against the side you want to go against, right? There's a lot of polarization, and we see it in mainstream media. It's obvious, right? So I don't think I have to tell anybody that it's likely that there's going to be a lot of noise if the GOP will actually be disrupted by this third party. I don't think it's going to be like, well, fair play, Elon. Well, yeah, fair play. We'll just give up our power. Yeah, we're not going to come after you. Trump is going to be, he's already kind of starting to a little bit. Now, granted, it sort of is based on Elon saying, third party, deficit. Why did you put me in Doge if you're not going to, hold up your end of the bargain, right? So Trump is going to come back, but I would not underestimate the impact that America Party could have in the midterm elections, which by default means that if you're a Tesla investor and robotaxi is not making money and car sales are flat to down and the bot is not making money and energy is flat to down, if that holds true, it's going to get freaking weird. The flip side of that is that if you follow the technology in Austin, which I've had the pleasure of doing, and none of this is financial or investment advice, I'm just speaking about my personal experience. I think there's an argument that could be made that Tesla is on a path to be undeniable when it comes to making money, because they have figured out how to make 1.2 million self-driving cars per year that work. That 1.2 million cars is the Model Y, which they just upload with a software and it turns into a robotaxi, a driverless vehicle that they're still testing. It's not fully ramped yet, but the pathway seems clear. It already outperforms Waymo on a lot of different metrics. The app experience is very good, super comfortable. It still has some quirks around the edges, but it performs better than Waymo in comfort, in ride quality, in smoothness, in drop-off locations, in pickup locations. The app experience is better, especially here in Austin, because we have to go through the Uber app. And so if you're making 1.2 million of those, and you're going to potentially expand that to 2 million and maybe even 5 million over time, all of a sudden you have a flywheel where you can manufacture Uber's entire fleet in the United States every year. And you just dump these robotaxis that cost less per mile, significantly less per mile than an Uber or even owning a car at scale, and you own the means of production of that. That puts you in a dominant position, and nobody else can keep up with you. And then 10x that for the bot if that comes to fruition, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is there is a world where Elon goes down the politics path and tries to run a platform that is successful in achieving its platform, and we can all argue as citizens of this country if it's good or bad for the country, and Tesla is completely fine. They can go coexist. It is very risky because there could be, in the same way that Elon talked about the Democrat Party putting blockades in front of him for his businesses or what he was trying to get done, the GOP could very well do that as well. They could slow down the framework for autonomous vehicles out of hey, we don't think these AI systems are safe, and it's going to displace our workers, our hard workers, right? Because drivers won't have jobs. They won't be able to drive if this thing is successful at scale, because you will literally not be able to compete against the driverless vehicle in almost all situations unless a person specifically wants a driver in the car, which most people won't, because it's going to be cheaper to operate a self-driving car than a drivable car. And so you can have there's a lot of vectors you can use to go after Elon, go after Tesla, if the party feels like what he's trying to do is existential. We saw that on the other side. We saw it. The flip side of that is, well, Democrats didn't pull the EV tax credit, the GOP did. But that proves my point. Whoa! I forgot I have entry mode. Holy shit, that scared the shit out of me. The car after a couple minutes goes into entry mode. I guess 15 minutes. And so even though most of my audience supports the idea of an American party, even though most of the country agrees that our politics is a shit show, even though most of the country agrees that Congress is terrible at its job, it is also important to recognize that this is a risky thing that Elon's doing. Again, there will be impacts that are going to be tough to track. It is not going to be smooth sailing from my perspective, but none of this will matter. The politics stuff, none of it will matter if Tesla, specifically for Tesla investors, this is the message, if Tesla is able to make the robotaxi dream real. If they're able to make the dream real, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's an undeniable investment. The cash flow will be unreal. The valuation will skyrocket. They'll be able to fund their expansion for all the training compute and inference compute and the vehicle manufacturing and the bot program. They might get into freaking drones. I have a theory about that I've been thinking about for the last couple months. I think Tesla's well positioned to get into the drone game, which is going to be probably not as, it could be pretty gigantic, especially if you have self-driving drones. Anyway, that's a story for a completely different day. It becomes undeniable. It's like saying, you know, I don't want to invest in Amazon because Jeff Bezos is political. Okay, how many funds are going to bypass Amazon's earnings potential? How many individuals are going to just completely ignore the amount of money that they're, you know, it's like the same thing with Nvidia, right? At some point, the earnings become undeniable. And does Jensen Huang taking on politics, will that impact Nvidia's long-term valuation? Yes, if they feel like the CEO is creating an environment for roadblocks to exist. And so one could argue that what Elon's doing with the America Party is very much creating roadblocks that could exist that will hinder Tesla's ability for long-term growth. But on the flip side, if you take money out of the equation, there are all the people out there that are unhappy with the system. That's just true. So the question becomes, will those people trust Elon and his party to make the change that many of us want, but feel like it's sort of impossible, or anytime we try, it's just garbage. You know, I think that's how most moderates feel, to be completely honest. I think that's how most moderates feel. So, anyway, those are my thoughts. I wasn't driving today because I don't feel like I could have gotten this out of my brain driving, and I still feel like I didn't get it out of my brain properly. But it was something that I think it's very important to talk about. I don't think, you know, and I think the overarching story here is don't underestimate the America Party, but don't underestimate the chaos this could cause. Okay, that's it. Bye.